G'day everyone and welcome back. Today I want to just take a look at the Metz here, and I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't played much around with the experimental ships for a bit, and I only kind of like pulled the trigger on actually playing them in the end because it's like, hey, I actually do want to get some of this coal and I just want to see what wargaming is actually cooking, because it's a bit unfair for me to judge these ships as they come in out if I've not actually played before. So, the Metz. As you can see, you start the beginning of the game with quite low HP, and well, I kind of just got slapped there a bit by the Borodino, and that's forced me to pop a super heal early. And that's one of the things I've noticed about playing super ships, sorry, not super ships, experimental ships, I should say. And this is specifically about the Metz and the Vyazma I've played so far. I might do a video on the Vyazma next week, just let me know if you guys would like me to do that or something else. But this thing has been pretty interesting, especially when everyone loves to focus you down right at the very start of the game. Because people see a low HP ship, regardless if they understand the reasoning as to why it is or not, and they will try and sink you first. And there's been a couple of games where I've been decimated quite quickly because people have taken advantage of the fact that you've only got so many HP, your heal doesn't come up. Well, you can pop one heal, but you're only going to get to about half, maybe even 3/4 before it goes on cooldown again. So they're going to try and sink you out of the game as quickly as possible. Now, the Metz has actually been quite a fair bit of fun, I'll say. I'm a little bit split about this. We're going to try and use the burst mode here. This completely nukes your range. At least on this ship, it drops it down to 11.5. My first shots there were not great. I think one of the turrets there was blocked by the island as well, unfortunately. But the second salvo was a little bit better, managed to get still there against the Ochakov. But there's a couple of interesting things about the ships. Obviously, for the fact you get a lot of heals, because you start a lower amount of HP, so if you pop a couple of super heals, they'll get you up to full HP at the start of the game. And that'll be the same as though you're playing any other ship that has a super heal, and you only have, say, 3 charges available. So it's kind of balanced in that sense. It makes sense with the other, in line with the other classes. They just start with the HP at the start of the game. You just got to heal up a little bit if you want to. But the main reason why with the experimental ships is you actually get this increased bonus, which is the enhanced fighter flight. Now, the main benefit behind that one is you get improved dispersion. It's another bonus that I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. It's quite strong. I question wargaming as to why we need the dispersion bonus on the guns to be as good as they are. Granted, you can't slot the slot 3 module, which gives you dispersion, which if you're playing anything that's gunboat focused, I highly recommend you are running that improved dispersion anyways, so it's a little bit better. And I still have, even then with the improved dispersion, like I've still had some pretty whack salvos where the shots just don't go where I expect them to. And it's been interesting, it's been fun. Now, this thing being French and everything, I expect this thing to get the 15% speed boost like it got on this thing, and you can absolutely zoom around the map. Did you need it on the Vyazma though? I'll talk about that next week. But this thing, I've been enjoying it. The guns on this thing, you've got the quad barrels in the front. They're 305s, so the same caliber as, I believe, Stalingrad. Some of the French heavy cruisers, the large cruisers, I should say. And they do pack a punch. They really do. Now, this game here is a very fortunate matchmaking for me. I'm going up against tier 6s and tier 7s. So there's a reason as to why I'm showcasing this game. But going up against, say, tier 10s and stuff, like, I've gone up against Des Moines, I've gone up against the tier 10 battleships. You will get completely overmatched through the nose of this thing. It is absolutely punishing when you do. And it's not really much fun when you get absolutely chonked through the nose and there's not much you can do about it, which I will say is probably a good thing for the ship, because you've got the speed to flank, you're able to dish out a lot of damage, but your armor does not hold up, which I strongly appreciate for the ship. And this thing is just a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot more nimble compared to the tier 9, the Vyazma. It's one of those, it's French as well, so you've got all the kind of characteristics that kind of come along with that. And it's just a lot of fun, this thing. Against lower tiers, I mean, to be fair, any tier 8 when you're fighting a tier 6 is going to stomp. Hello, Pensacola. Goodbye, Pensacola. I mean, when you're going up against those lower tiers, it really doesn't matter whether you're in this thing or if you're in, the Sherberg, for example. I think I would still have a very, very good success with Sherbrooke. I probably wouldn't be able to do exactly some of the same things, but I'd be very, very close in being able to do so. Because that thing, I believe, gets a reload booster. Correct me if I'm wrong here, chat. But, I mean, hello, broadside Fuso. And you don't need to be like a genius to work out, hey, 8 of these guns, especially when you get 5 full pens on him, that's going to take him back to port. I've had a few Citadels on, say, Tier 6 battleships before, which has been quite funny. But it's obviously a case when they're sitting flat broadside to you and they beach themselves off an island. Now, this Shaw's here, he's going to find out why... To be honest, I didn't even need to burst him there. I didn't need to burst him. So if I was in a Sherbrooke, for example, I would have been able to nuke that dude from full HP to none. And yeah, that completely second salvo with the burst there was arguably wasted. Now, the ammunition changes on the burst. I do like the range nerf. I thought the range nerf wasn't actually going to be enough for these kind of ships. When especially they were going through testing and people were complaining about them, I was like, oh, this is 11.5 and stuff. That seems a little bit too much. It's still quite usable. And it is usable, but it is a lot more restrictive than what I actually thought it would be. In saying that, I still feel as though you could probably get away with even dropping the nerf down, like the range down to even like a flat 10 kilometers or even lower. Just to further accentuate how you need to get in real close if you want to be using these bursts. Now, this is the part where you definitely want the burst because, hello, Lexington. I think you can see what I'm about to do here to this poor Lexington. But I mean, is it really that sad? It's a carrier at the end of the day. Well, yeah. Oh, that Lexington. That dude got absolutely sent back to port. No remorse whatsoever there. And yeah, I mean, this thing is fun. If you were going to do anything, I would recommend at least getting the Metz. I know it's a pain because you do have to spend credits on getting the modules. And if you want to equip it as well, it is a bit annoying. I understand, like especially for ships that are going to be removed in a couple of patches anyways. I would still recommend it just so you get a bit of an experience to try out what these experimental ships are like, even if you just run them in operation, for example. You get a feeling of like, okay, this is what some of the strengths of the ship are, this is what some of the downsides to these kind of playstyle is. Now, with the fight or flight, now I just wanted to address that. Having the reduced dispersion as much as it is, I think it maxes out like minus 15% dispersion. I would say you could probably drop that down to minus 10% dispersion at max wargaming, and that's just my opinion. And I think these ships would still be more than fine, and I don't think as many people have quite as much of a problem. The burst mode is fine. We've had that on the stuff like Castilla. I don't think I've really heard any complaints today, for example, like Castilla, Alvaro de Plan being broken or anything like that. Super ships, those ones are a little bit of a different story, but they have a whole other series of issues. And honestly, I think it's fine. I don't think these ships are as much of a problem as they initially were touted to be. Let me know down in the comments if you disagree. Now, the randoms matchmaker has been like populated a lot with the Vyazma because, and that thing is just namely because it's a Borodino from Tier 8, so a Tier 8 Soviet battleship, and they've just rammed that into a cruiser slot, which is I think where the problem mainly stems as to why they did that. I don't know, for example, why didn't you just go ahead and just like, bump up a Talon, for example, if you wanted to do a Soviet heavy cruiser, or you could have done like a Piotr Bagration or Ochkov or something along those lines. You could have done that, but that's just my opinion. Bumping up a battleship into a cruiser slot was questionable. I think that's where a lot of the complaints probably stem around these ships. But this thing, I think it's a lot of fun. It is quite enjoyable to play. I have had some very funny bursts. I don't have the clip here, and I do apologize for that. But I managed to get a broadside Des Moines with this thing, and I managed to absolutely clown on him, which was hilarious. And if you can get those situations, you're going to do really well. But on the flip side, I've been focused right from the very start by carriers, and just basically by the entire enemy team if they could see me. And I, like, for example, especially players that like to pop spotter plane, like I've had enemy battleships, like enemy long-range cruisers, like excellent farming. They've just taken like, hey, I want to remove you from the game. Please cease to exist. And they've done a very good job of forcing me to the back and just not being able to have as much of an impact as I would have liked to with this ship. Now, yeah, like it is fun. I can't disagree. I do think it's fun, and I think this one is definitely a lot more enjoyable compared to the later the Fiasma. I haven't got the Oregon for obvious reasons yet because it's not available freely, unless you want to spend 10,000 doubloons on getting that ship. So it's a lot of fun to be messing around with this one. It's a lot. The maneuverability is excellent, as what you kind of expect from French. It embodies, I kind of guess, what the concept that wargaming is trying to push with these ships, like where it's risky to play these things, especially if you're going to go aggressive, like right at the start of the game. It is very risky to do so. Yes, you got the super heals to heal yourself back, but this thing has got like its armor is weak as all hell. You will get completely overmatched by people and even Citadel through the bow, which, trust me, it hurts. And when you got to stay bow in towards your opponents to be able to, well, shoot all your guns off of them, it's kind of tough. But when you manage to get yourselves positioned correctly and get put into those spots that you're going to excel with the farming, you're going to have a lot of fun. And I do enjoy having that risk versus reward scenario. I like to play myself a lot more aggressively compared to most players. That's why my let's put it this way. It's why my survival ratio in games is pretty bad. Because I like to just go hyper aggressive, and it's been like that I've played. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed just listening to me go on a little bit about this ship. I'd say pick it up, just get a feel for what this ship is going to perform like. And if you want me to play any more of these ships, let me know down in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace, everyone.